We've all seen videos and debates before on what character specialisations are the best in State of Decay 2. Things like swordplay versus striking, the main headliner, gunslinging versus assault, marathon versus backpacking. They're all cool, sure, but nobody seems to ever talk about the bad specialisations, and there's probably a reason for that. Now I myself do not know that reason, so we're going to give it a go today. What's the worst cardio specialisation, wit specialisation, fighting and shooting specialisation, and why? Let's get right into it, shall we, and start off with the worst cardio skill in the game. Now this one to me is an absolute no-brainer. The worst cardio specialisation by far in State of Decay 2 has to be acrobatics. This skill sucks. What does it offer? Reduced fall damage, it costs less stamina to climb and dodge, and we get a new dodge which is like a combat roll, similar to the rolls in the Souls games. Absolute rubbish. How often are you going to be falling off things or climbing things, and even when you are, it's not a massive hit to stamina or health. It doesn't cost that much stamina to dodge anyway, and a lot of people prefer the standard dodge because you don't move as far, meaning you can keep closer to your enemy, which can be useful in some cases. You also get a new combat move with acrobatics called Flying Strike, which is exactly what it sounds like. You leap into the air and smack the zombie with your weapon. Although it's just as powerful as a standard hit and costs more to do. So if you're going for style points, then yeah, it's cool, but not the most practical. In general, this skill just isn't very useful or helpful as the other three cardio skills, which is what makes it the worst. Let's move on to wits. This one was probably the hardest to choose from because all the wit skills are pretty good, and you could argue a case for all of them. However, I think there's one that just falls short of general usefulness. Stealth. You can move quicker while crouched, which is very useful if you're wanting to sneak around packs of zombies, screamers or juggernauts. You can open locked doors silently, loot containers with less chance of search crashes, enemies have more difficulty in detecting you, and you can now perform quick stealth kills, every and all things stealth related. Now stealth in a lot of video games is generally considered a smart tactic, the safe option, but it begs the question for State of Decay 2, do we actually need stealth? And on a standard playthrough, my answer would be no. Now of course that's just my opinion. You may think the game needs stealth, and for some challenge runs I would maybe say it is needed, like the no hit for instance. But on a normal playthrough it's just not efficient or effective enough. It makes the game feel incredibly slow, and you can almost always survive any scenario the game throws at you without the need to tiptoe around them. The other wit specialisations offer more inventory slots, item stack size and enemy scouting range, which I think are just more practical for everyday survival. It's a good skill, but as of now it's not needed as much as the other three. Anyway, moving on to fighting. Fighting was another fairly hard one, but I ended up going with close combat, and let me explain why, because I know no matter what I choose here, there's going to be people that disagree with it. When fully leveled up, close combat levels up your knife fighting. Faster hits and reduced stamina cost when using the knife, as well as a new shove, faster execution from behind, and most importantly, a new standing execution from the front, which is an insta-kill that doesn't require the use of a weapon. The purpose of close combat is to get the most out of your resources. Seeing as you're using knives in your bare hands, which never break, you're saving a lot of parts, which you would have otherwise needed to repair other weapons. This skill isn't bad at all. The only reason why close combat has been ranked the worst fighting skill is because it's probably the most dangerous to use. With no massive increase to health or injury resistance like endurance, or dismemberment and lethality of swordplay, or even crowd control of striking, it puts close combat at a disadvantage. You have to get extremely close to your enemy with limited room for error, which is a recipe for disaster. Make no mistake, it's a great skill, but not as good as the rest of them. Moving on to shooting. The worst shooting specialisation in State of Decay 2. The bottom of the barrel has to be none other than weapon handling, another durability type skill, with an increase to every firearm's general durability and the ability to manually repair broken weapons or jammed weapons to half their maximum durability. You can repeat this over and over. Your guns will never break is what I'm trying to say. Now I know what you're thinking, you'd have to be an idiot to put this as the worst specialisation in the game. Weapons that never break, for no cost. Maybe I am an idiot, but my whole reason for putting this skill as number 4 of 4 in terms of shooting skills is because you really only need to use it once. What do I mean? Only one character in your community should have this skill. Why? Because apart from durability, the skill's crap. It doesn't offer you the accuracy of sharpshooting or gunslinging, or the increased speed and ammo capacity of assault. It gets some bonuses to firearm sway, reload speed and recoil, but so does every other shooting skill, and the other three get even more. When you take a character out into the field with weapon handling and come across a massive pack of zombies, that skill will not help, or at least not as much as the other three. So am I saying don't use weapon handling? No, of course not. But you should only give it to one stay-at-home type character who can repair the whole group's weapons without having to spend any parts. That's the only feature of this specialisation, so that should be the only thing you do with it. Your character basically becomes a poor man's workshop, and just like the workshop stays on base, that character should too. So there we have it folks, the worst of the worst specialisations in State of Decay 2. What is the take home message though? Should we use these specialisations? Well you can, but in my opinion I think there's better specialisations out there. But what do you guys think? Am I right? Are these the worst? Or is my ranking so disgustingly wrong that I should hang my head in shame, pack my bags and never make any more content? Let me know. Leave it in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.